Hi, everyone. This is Ashley and Tim with CourtReserve. Thank you so much for joining us. You guys are going to be rock star event people. So if anybody comes to you after this webinar and says, hey, I need help, charge them a lot of money for helping you set up your events. So we are going to go ahead and just jump right in. If you have not been on any of our webinars before, we allow you to type in your questions in the Q&A or chat feature. And really, it's the best way so that we don't have a lot of people talking. We answer all of your questions at the end of kind of what we're going to do. So Tim and I are going to jump in and talk to you about webinars and how to set them up. Now, if there are any sub-admins on the call, events may be something you can or can't set up. So just wanted to throw that out there now. And so let's go ahead and get started. Let me move our share over to the desktop here. Okay, so I have gone through, and of course, if you have been in CourtReserve any length of time, you know that events are classes, clinics, summer camps, anything in a group that you want a number of people, more than one usually, to sign up for. Now, sometimes we do have people who use events for private lesson signups. That's kind of a one-off situation. But most of the time, events are those group gatherings that you want a number of people to sign up for. And so the easiest thing to do is really just to come out and click Add New Event. And kind of start from scratch. But what we're going to do today is I've actually gone into one of my test events, and I have literally tried to figure out every single thing that you would ever want to know about events. So I'm going to take you over here to this Orange Ball clinic here. And I did it as a junior clinic because we do have a lot of organizations that, you know, have a lot of the junior clinics and camps and restrictions and ratings and things of that nature. So I definitely wanted to do that. So Tim, before I get started, anything you want to add?
I do. Just real quick, go back to the event list. This is one that people ask about. Sometimes we hear it in support and they'll say, Tim, how can I change and see all the event dates below? If you click any part of the row that's not the event name, it's going to load up the dates. So if you click the actual event name, it takes you to the event. We don't want to do that. If you just want to see the different dates and be able to manipulate different things here in the event list, just click on any part of the row. So if she clicks on pickleball camp in that row, you'll see the dates reload, the tab changes, and now you can see the different dates and the registrants for that particular event. So it's just a quick tip just to know that you can change and see all of your dates and registrants at the event level without ever leaving the screen by just clicking on the space or anything besides the name. If you click the name again, that's going to take you directly to, so if she goes back and clicks the name of the event that she was working in, she's going to actually see, no, if you click the name, yeah. So if you see the name, that's what a lot of people do. And that takes you to the specific dates of that particular event. So anyway, that's all I had.
Yeah, it's good. I also want to point out that when you're on the list, sometimes we will get a support that will come in and say, hey, I had an event, it went for 10 weeks and now it's not here anymore. Well, you may have just set it to a date that it ran out. So you can always go up here and click show past events. You could always, if you cancel events, do this as well. And this will actually take you over to your events that are past or canceled that you can actually go back in, edit your dates, and move from there as well. So I just wanted to point that out because sometimes people, they don't know where their event went. So it's easy. Okay. So when you go to an event and you are going to set up an event, it's kind of self-explanatory, but we wanted to go through today. We thought this would be good because we do get occasional questions that we feel can be answered. So this will be a complete event tutorial for you. And so we're going to go ahead and get started. Now, a lot of these things like categories, sessions, ratings, custom fields. These have to be set up under settings. We're not going to go through that today. So if we go through and you're starting in CourtReserve and you're going to set up new events and you need help setting these up, we're glad to help you set those up later.
I will mention category and name. Those are required fields. Session is an optional field we've added about 3 or 4 months ago. This is a way to categorize, especially for you big organizations that may be on the webinar. This is a way that you'll be able to categorize events for a particular period or season of time. And we're eventually going to have analytics and reports so you can see, hey, how did I do fall 2020 compared to, fall of 2019, vice versa. So just a tidbit of what session is, and it's just really a categorization, a way to get more granular with those events during a particular time frame.
Okay, that's good. We love reporting, right? Okay, so we've got our name, pretty self-explanatory. Category, like I said, you can go in and create a number of categories that you can then associate events to. We've got our max number of registrants, and then we've got our first event date. Now, the event date, start time, and end time. Sometimes people will come in and they'll do a couple things, but then they won't put an event date and time in. Well, this has to be populated before a lot of this information down here will be allowed to populate. So if you actually set the event up in order from top to bottom, it will populate correctly. Okay, let's talk about reoccurrence. You don't have to have a reoccurrence. That means that it's just going to be one event, one day, and it's not going to happen again. You can have a daily reoccurrence, which means it's going to happen every weekday, or it's going to happen every one day for so many days. So you're going to have this happen every day for the next 14 days, okay? There is weekly reoccurrence. This is probably the most popular function. You need to make sure this says 1. If you are going to have something that happens every week, but it's going to happen for 10 weeks, this is not where you put 10. This is where you put 1. 10 goes here, or 5. Sometimes we will get people to say, hey, I've set up an event and I can see the first one, but then I can't see the next one. And it's because they've put the number 5 or 10 in here. You choose your days, of course, of what day of the week this event will happen each week. And then you have to choose whether there is a number of event dates or whether you have an end date to choose by. You can also go in and put in exception dates. So if I'm actually going to choose this to go for how many weeks till Christmas? Let's just say 10. But if I go in, it actually, those Tuesdays and Thursdays that it falls on, if I know of one that's not going to be on the calendar, actually, let's go ahead and just start this now.
Just push that out to like 30 dates.
Yeah. I want to be able to show you. So now I can come in and actually say, okay, we're not going to have it on Thanksgiving, and then we're not going to have it on Christmas Eve. Okay. So those exception dates will actually leave that off of your recurring roles. Okay. So just, simple information. Again, this is really important, because if you miss one of these, then your date or your event's not going to reflect exactly what you want. Okay, these next 2 boxes here are really great. You'll see that we have a new one here. If you have been with CourtReserve a while, we have a new one called single date, or basically this is the drop-in date. So you get the option of doing either single date drop-ins, or you can allow your registrants to register for all dates. Now, this trips people up sometimes, and it shouldn't, but you can do both, or you can do one or the other. If you only choose allow registrants to register for single or for all dates, then basically they're going to sign up for every single date of your 20-week event. If you allow them single dates, then they are going to be able to pick and choose whether they sign up for this week or 2 weeks from now. And it also is reflective of how they sign up on the member portal as well. And we'll go show you that in just a little bit. Tim, anything else on this? I just want to make sure we drive this home.
A couple things. If you uncheck register for all dates, and you uncheck register for single dates, it's going to default to basically hide. It's going to default. If you scroll all the way down the bottom, I don't think we got here yet. Just scroll down, event setup. Okay. So notice it says full price on the price. So if you go back up, this is what gets people. If you don't say that the event is available for drop-ins, it's assumed to be a full session event. And I think the reason that trips up people is because we hide the full date option when you don't select the single date option. And so just wanted to specify that. The other thing is, if you select, go ahead and select single dates. If you do select all dates here as well, this is where you get an option at the bottom. If you check that, that you can allow the event to be prorated. So if you have a full event session that's $1,000, as long as you check that, you may be getting into that in a little bit later, actually. This option is not going to show up. That prorate's not going to show up if you don't have the register for all dates. So those are the only two things that I would mention there.
Okay, great. All right, so let's talk about waitlist. Waitlist in CourtReserve is a great function, and it will make your life easier if you use it. We do have waitlist works two ways. Allow waitlist here. So if we take off auto register here, if we do waitlist here, this basically means that when it's activated in the system, or it's time for, we've got some slots open on the wait list, or a slot has become available, it sends out notification to all people on the wait list, and it's basically first sign up, first serve. So, it's the first person who signs up. Basically, they get an email that says, hey, there's openings in the event that you're interested in, okay? The second way waitlist works is auto register. This is this little button right here. Auto register works like this. Let's say you have 10 slots, but you have 12 people. You have 2 on the wait list. If 2 people back out, or if 1 person backs out, the system will auto register that next player in line automatically to the event, and that player, that member, will automatically get an email saying that they are now registered for this event. Now, you can prevent auto registration a number of hours before your event, just so you can kind of help fill out your class and make sure that the event is what you want. But know that those are the 2 ways that waitlist works. It works really well if, especially when we actually made this change, and we made some great changes over the summer to how waitlist worked. For a lot of our HOAs and our pools who had families who had 3 or 4 people signed up on the wait list. So the wait list has really gotten smarter over the last couple months. So know that. Anything else on the wait list, Tim?
No, you're good.
All right. So know that on any event, you can assign an instructor. Of course.
Let me back up. Sorry. You know me, I always remember something. If you change the max capacity at the event level, it will also trigger the auto registration from the wait list. So what I mean by that is, if you go in on a day and you have it set to 10, and you all of a sudden your event's full and you got 15 on the wait list, and you go and put 5 spots, change it to say, hey, I now want it to be, instead of 10, be 15. Guess what's going to happen? If you have auto register from waitlist checked, it's going to automatically pick the first 5 on the wait list and put them into the event. So just keep that in mind when you change max registrants, that you can trigger auto registrations if you're using the auto register from waitlist.
Oh, that's a good tip. Very good. All right. So now on instructors, you can assign instructors, courts, ball machines, and the system will tell you if they are unavailable. So if you try and, put an instructor on, well, the system works as it should. You don't want to actually assign an instructor or a court that wouldn't be available. You can also dictate by court type what kind of court you want this event on, and then the ball machine as well. So those are pretty self-explanatory. If there is a conflict here, it would actually pop us up as a conflict and show you exactly the conflict that this is limiting, or telling you, hey, don't forget there's a conflict here. You may not want to assign this particular thing based on that conflict. So the next setting is prevent member from withdrawing from event within number of hours. Pretty self-explanatory. You can set that if you like it. So this brings us here to note. So if you have notes turned on in the system to be displayed to your members, then the note will show up on the member side. So bring a towel, bring a t-shirt, whatever that is. You know, you don't necessarily have to use this, but it's there. And then event registrants custom fields. So this, of course, would need to be set up as a custom field under settings, but you can actually use this to have them fill in certain questions, or a lot of our pickleball clubs are using this to bring a guest or bring a player or do team round robins with as well. So just an additional feature under events. So before I go down here, Tim, do you have any other questions about the top half of events?
No, you're good. I would just mention the other recurrence rules. You skipped one that's really important, and it's the custom one.
Oh, let me show you guys that. Absolutely. I'm so sorry. I totally missed that. So monthly, of course, that's pretty easy. If something recurs every single month or every couple months, you can make that a recurring rule. And I love custom, because custom means that I can come in here and this event is going to happen on Wednesday of this week, Thursday on the next week, Sunday on the next week. So it really does give you the flexibility to set up the event based on what you need it to do.
Yeah, and this the most popular use case for this is USTA schedules. When we get back to having USTA leagues, like the home schedule matches, that obviously from your local USTA coordinator, you're just going to get a random set of dates for those particular USTA matches. And so this is a great way. One of the driving forces behind this feature was for a schedule like that, where it's sort of sporadic as far as when those USTA teams play.
All right. So of course, by now you guys know that events in CourtReserve can be set up and really customized at the membership level. Now, this is a test account. We have lots of different test memberships in here. And so again, Tim mentioned the drop-in price. You can set that at, where it's going to dictate at the top, and it'll flow through, and then you can just go in and change the ones that, have a different price structure than, you have for everyone else. You've got your full price here as well. So again, it's going to populate from the top, and, you can go in and assess different membership types, different fees according to what you need it to do. Now, these two check boxes are really important. We often get chat support that says, hey, I made an event and I cannot see it on the member portal. Well, is public is what allows your members to actually see it on the event drop-down list on the member side. And if you want that particular membership to be able to register for this event, then this box has to be checked as well. Okay. Now, if your event does not have any pricing associated with it and you just want to hide pricing, even if it's at 0, you can check this box here in the middle. And you can also require upfront payment. Now, this is different than having a card on file. So sometimes we get chat support, well, I require them to have a card on file. Well, if you want them to pay for this event up front when they sign up for the event, you must check this box here. If you are going to turn on approvals, which means that people can sign up for this event, but they are not guaranteed a spot until you come over here in the to-do and approve their entry into the event. That's what this is, requires approval. Now again, the drop-in registration start date and full registration start dates, anytime I teach a new organization about events, I think that you really do need, if you're having a recurring event, and it's going to go on for 10 weeks or 12 weeks. If you're going to do drop-ins, then having this registration start date, I think, is pretty essential. It does a couple things. One, on the member side, on the event drop-down, it keeps your drop-downs a little bit cleaner. And if you have a really popular event, and well, we call them court hogs, so you guys know what those are. Those are the people that try and get the best court all the time for months on out. It works the same way with events. So it really does allow those event hogs to not be able to go in and sign up for every single week for the next 20 weeks. Because what you can do is you can limit. So usually people are doing it, 2 weeks out, 14 days, 21 days out. So 21 days before the event starts, that next event day opens up for registration. It keeps it a little cleaner, a little more fair. Tim, you got something to...
Yeah, the other use case around this is priority registration. So a lot of organizations like to give their members, say, 7 days out, or even weeks, and then the non-members may get 2 or 3 days before they can actually reserve. So she did it backwards there, but you get the point. If it's that way, your members can register 2 weeks before the event, and your non-member may only get 2 days before. So that way you're giving your majority of preference or priority to your members, and then backfilling with the non-members.
Okay. So registration ends, pretty self-explanatory. If you want to cut off the registration, you can do that here. And then this box, show registrants. It's up to you. If you have events that you want your members to be able to look and see what members have registered for this particular event, when they go over to the member portal, they can actually see who is already signed up. Then this box is checked here as well. Now, there's a box down here called public rules, and I'm going to let Tim tell you all about it.
I would like to go back to that previous statement. The use case around the show registrants, 2 things to be careful of. If it's a junior event, be very mindful that you're exposing juniors' first and last names if you check this box. So I highly encourage you can, we've had some organizations with parents get very upset that their other people knew that their kids were going to be on the court. So just keep that in mind. And the other thing is I would hide this for non-members. So you don't want your people that are not at your club, players that are not at your club, to be able to see maybe member information or other people there. So normally the setup is to only show this to other members, but hide it for non-members and hide it for junior events. Okay. Now, public rules. So really, CourtReserve is set up both to, we have visibility for your players and members to see events and things going on at your club through the member portal, and that's when they're logged into CourtReserve. But we also have a great feature called with widgets, which is little tidbits of code that you could put in your website to expose information publicly. And there's if you want this particular event to be eligible to be shown to an anonymous user, then you want to make sure that you set up the first checkbox. Really, the first checkbox is really the only one that matters. So if you scroll up so you can see the title again, Ashley, it's the is public. So if you want this to be shown to somebody that's looking at your website from a widget, then this is important to be checked. The other reason that you want this to be checked is you may want to publicize your event either through an external email or through Facebook or something that points people directly to the event registration page. Well, if this event is not public and somebody tries to hit the public link, which is right here in the embed code, if you click the embed code tab, that's going to be, this is the link, your public event URL. Now, we really need to, that's what you see this page that she just showed you. So if you include that link in an email or a Facebook page, this will direct anonymous traffic to this particular event. And even most of the time, if you're sending an email, it may be a member that's not logged in, and there would be a register button there that would take them directly to the portal where they can log in and register. Okay. If for whatever reason you click on this link and you get this message that says event not found, then your indicator to know that you've got something set up wrong is because you have public rules, you have this box unchecked. So I just wanted to really mention, it's really just triggering 2 things. It's triggering your ability to use this event inside widgets from the visibility standpoint, and the ability to let people see that link to be active when you send it out publicly through an email or put it on a Facebook page. So I hope that clears up any confusion around what that setting means.
Well, since you're on a roll, go ahead and do full event price and proration for us.
Sure. So basically the first one is a way, if I had this event set up for 10 dates, right? And let's say I want to allow somebody to get a deal where they can get all 10 dates for $750 or $700. Okay. What this is going to do, actually, let's make it easy, a little bit easier on the math. So let's say you're going to get all 10 dates for $1,000. However, we don't want to offer that price any longer, even at a prorated price, if it's only available 5 more dates. So this allows us to set this date or this box to 5. And what that means is once I've had 5 of my 10 dates have passed, then I don't even get the option to register for the full event session any longer. I have to go only to drop-ins or none at all, okay? And so that's what that one is. And the second one is really a setting that I encourage you to check by default. And Ashley's going to show you in a minute how to set your event defaults here so that you don't have to check the majority of what you do each and every time. We can actually set up defaults. But I would actually default this to be checked because this is what's going to control if you have a 10-week session at $1,000 and the user missed the first 2, then he shouldn't pay $1,000. He should pay $800, right? So he's missed the first 2. This is what's going to equally prorate the event based on your full event price, based on how many dates you have left. So the system will automatically handle that at the member level and now at the admin level. So those are 2 important features that you may want to utilize when you set up a full session event.
Good stuff. Okay. So moving on, you see a couple additional tabs here. We've already gone over the embed code tab, and then we can go over to the additional setup tab. Now, the only reason that is featured is here is if you're using that on the widgets. Isn't that correct, Tim?
That is correct. There is some more use cases that we're going to actually start allowing you to feature events on your member portal and your app. So we've already put this feature in, but we haven't implemented the changes on the other side yet, but that's probably going to be a first quarter 2021 change that will be able to allow you to do more with this setting.
Woohoo. So you'll have to come back to this webinar in January. Okay. So allow members to register till event ends. If you let people come in and your event's 2 hours and they can come in an hour in and register, then that's the button to check here. You can add disclosures, of course, to any event, but of course you would need to go over to the settings and set up the disclosures for particular events, and then you could just come here and choose which one. Now know that on the member side, if you do have a disclosure, they cannot sign up or register for that event without checking the box if there is a disclosure there. You can add the revenue category here if that's important for your organization as well. And then if you want to hide the event on event lists and calendars, you want to have a private event, you can check this box here.
Let me explain this one and why we added it. I actually did mention private, and that is a very good use case for this. But another use case was really around, people wanted to go in and set visibility to actually set it up, pre-set up a session per se, or they wanted to set up a bunch of programs, but they didn't want to really expose them to the members yet. So this allows us to go to the event setup tab. So if you click back on the event setup tab, actually on the very first tab, I could go in and make everything public, set it up the way I want it, and then use this additional setup hide to basically say, all right, I want one switch to not show this to anybody until I'm ready to start advertising and showing it. It also allows you to hide it from the calendars and lists right here, but still allow it to be emailed out to private groups. So before, if I had the event set to not public, I couldn't send an email out because then nobody could get to it. So that's why we added this additional feature here, is to basically hide it from the member portal, hide it from the app, but still allow it to be public for when you're sending emails or need to send it privately to someone without exposing it to everybody. So just a little history around why that setting's useful.
Yeah, that's a great feature. All right, so we're going to move to registration restrictions. Description's pretty easy. You can go in, put a description up. That's pretty easy. So let's go into registration restrictions. Now, this, you can use this, but once again, you know, it's based on what you need it for. So you've got your gender restriction. If you're having a ladies 3-5 tennis clinic, you don't really want your males to sign up. You can restrict by age. Now know that in CourtReserve, if you use age restrictions, but you don't have date of births, then it's going to be hard for them to be able to sign up for something that you don't require a date of birth for. You can also restrict events around ratings. So maybe if this was a junior clinic, I could go in under settings and create ratings for, you know, some juniors, and I want certain, you know, ratings to be allowed into this particular event. You could also create groups that only get to sign up for the events. Now, a test or a story around this, the reason that we use this story is because we have a great pickleball organization here in North Carolina, and of course they have some high-level 4.0, 4.5 players, and they were having some events, but there's always that one 3.0 guy that thinks he's a 4.5 that always signed up, and it was, you know, not the best of times. They want to be able to play with their high elite players. So you can actually go into CourtReserve now and create groups and assign groups to specific events. And if you're not basically a member or a player in this group, then you won't have the chance to sign up. And the best button is this one right here, hide event if member does not match restrictions. So if you actually check this box, if they don't meet the restrictions here, they won't even know that this is happening. Before we move on, Tim, any other things around events before we move on to the?
No, I think you did a great job. Just notice the tab here. The only thing I will mention a couple of things. Transactions is a great way to see all of the transactions across the entire event, even for different days for that tab. If you click that tab, this is going to show you, and not only all the transactions, but also any refunds at the top. If you wanted to see all the refunds for this particular event, you could click the include refunds box there. So basically, the other thing that I would mention here is the dates tab. That's going to be basically how you can see each individual date of this clinic. And then information. I think you're probably going to go into this next. Yes. Is that right? Okay. I won't spend too much. And you got it on your agenda to cover copy?
Oh, we're going to talk about copy right now.
Okay. I'll let you take back over.
Copy, a couple buttons up here. So if you don't know about the audit log, this can be quite the lifesaver for you, especially if you have a lot of admins or sub-admins at your organization. You can use the audit log. If we click it here, it's basically something that once the event is created, anything that happens with the event is noted here on the audit log. So if someone comes in and does an event registration and it's a member, it would say member here and who that member is, or A means admin, or even O means organizer. So know that if anything happens with your event, and we try and really do this with our chat support team a lot too, because you know, we want you guys to know that you can come in at the audit log at any time and find out what's going on with your event. So always know that you can come into your particular event, click the audit log. You can do it from the scheduler as well. And it's just a really great feature of CourtReserve to kind of figure out what's going on with your event if something has changed. Now, these two buttons over here, cancel and delete, those are kind of self-explanatory. If you click delete, it's going to delete your entire event. It's going to delete your registrants. It's going to do all of that. So be very careful with the delete button, because at least once a week, someone is coming to us at chat support and saying, help me, I've deleted an event. So hopefully after today, this will be a button that you don't necessarily want to hit anytime soon. Okay, copy button. If you are putting events in CourtReserve and you have similar events, but maybe you're just going to change a couple of things like age, date, time, what you can do is simply come over and hit the copy button. When you hit copy, it takes a copy of the event that you had up on the screen, and you can go in and simply change the registrants. You can change just the name. You can change anything in here. And what it does is it actually is a copy of the event, and just with some basic changes, it saves you from having to go back in and recreate an event all over again. I was helping a lot of swim clubs do this for their lap swim and pool time over the summer. And literally you can set up several events, excuse me, in a number of minutes because of that copy feature. So again, just little things that we try and put in the system to make it easier on you. So now what we're going to do is we're actually going to go over to that dates tab and show you a couple things. Now, you can go in CourtReserve and you can add registrants. You can do a lot of things. We've recently had a couple of clubs say, you know, hey, I've gone out and I've actually already registered my members, but I forgot to add the cost. Well, you need to really think through your event. Make sure you price it accordingly, because if you come in and you don't set pricing and you register a bunch of students, then you're not going to have a cost in here. And so it's going to make it a lot harder on you. So make sure you have the event set up well with all of your information before you start registering students. Okay. So a couple things. We have our reoccurring dates here. You can see all of our dates. You can see that there are a couple of tabs here. You can see this is our registrant list. We have a wait list. So if anybody was on the wait list, it would show here. You can add someone to a wait list. We have a canceled. We have awaiting approval. So of course, if you've turned approvals on, then they would show up here. And then we've got our transactions tabs again. Okay. Now there are a couple buttons here as well. You can add an event date. You can cancel. Again, be very careful with the red buttons. You can choose to add students to the wait list, but you can also use this button here to register members. So I'm going to click on this. Now, again, lots of great information here that you need to read through. They're going to get a confirmation email. You can override an event price, but here you would actually click on the dates that you wanted to register for a particular student. If you have students that are drop-in and you just want to view your registered members, you can click this. You can go in and edit their registrations. Or if you want to review or look at all of your members of your organization and register a new player, then you would do that here. We do have a new button here called Save and Pay. That might be something that you've noticed. We put a change in. It's been a couple weeks back now, or you can just simply click Save here.
The other thing that I want to mention that sometimes gets missed is up at the top, you have the option with that radio button there, right under the grid, is you pick and choose if you want this to be a full session registration or a drop-in. So this is very important that you know, if it's drop-in, you can pick and choose. If it's full event, then it's going to basically be the full event with any prorated. You know, if you only select them, if you have the event set up for proration and then you go to full event and you take away some days, then the system will register that student with a prorated price.
Yeah, that's good. Okay. All right. So again, you know, there's a lot of information when we come over to the dates tab, and I want to show you a couple more things that maybe you didn't even realize. So if you are looking at the line that actually has the date on it, there are a couple things. You see, you know, your registrations, your upcoming, this event of course is upcoming. But if you click this email button here, this email button will email all of your registrants in a clinic or in an event. If you just want to email one student, then you need to come down here at the registrant level and notice that you're going to notify, well, that's not a very good name. Let's just get a normal name. You're going to notify this particular registrant about his reservation, okay? If you want to register members, again, we try and put that button in a lot of different places. If you need to reschedule this entire event, you can click this reschedule button here. If you need to reschedule a student or one member of this event, then you need to do it at the level of the line item of where his name is. Okay, so really important. Reschedule the entire class for this date, reschedule one kid or one member for this date. If you hit the trash can, we all know what that means. You're going to delete this date from the reoccurring event. Okay, so know that trash can means delete. Again, if you're going to cancel this, again, the X means cancel. If you just need to cancel one student from this one date, then you do it again at the member, the student level here. Okay. If you need, like I even had today, somebody type in and say, hey, you know, occasionally we have events where we have multiple courts and I may need all 3 courts or I may just need 2. Well, if you need to edit just one date of an event, you do it at that date level. Okay, so let's just go here since it'll be kind of different. So we're going to come down here and we're going to change November 17. So we simply go over to the edit pencil to the right. We click edit. Notice in the top bar, we're only editing this one date. You can edit the time, you can add or take away courts, you can add instructors, you can even change the max registrants. So see here, well, actually notice here first. Currently, you have 11 members signed on this event. If you want to change the registrants just for this particular event, then you would do so here. So if I wanted to actually make it 15, you can do that here. Add notes, but this is just making the change on this one date, not the entire event level. So, you know, again, lots of information here. Tim, have I missed anything or anything you want to add?
Did you talk about assigned courts?
Oh, good one. No, that's a great one. So actually just, let's see, if I go in, let's go in and add another court. Oh, I can't do that one there. Let's go up here. We'll just go ahead and see if we can, well, oh, I must have it because that's got indoor. Let's do hard courts. Oh, of course. See how well the system works when you want to do something? Everything's, we're just going to add some pickleball courts to this tennis. Okay. So another way, oh, you stinker. Look at those combo courts.
Just close that. Just close that. It's fine. Just go to the scheduler and pick, yeah, that's all I wanted to show. Yeah.
So you can actually assign registrants to courts, and a lot of our pickleball clubs are doing this when they're round robins. So, you know, before the event, you can actually come in and say, okay, if there was numbers of courts here, of course, then you could actually assign your students to particular courts. Then you could, you know, print it out, show them, post it. So again, great information for you to be able to use this for any of those round robins, or even if you want certain students on certain courts. All right, well, I think that's enough on the dates and transactions. Other than, again, you can collect payment from this view. You can check in your students, you know, with this view. Check-in's a great feature for contact tracing and going back to running, you know, reports on your event summaries and registrations. And then again, you can collect payment for unpaid at this view as well.
Another tip here, this is good for the big organizations that do a lot of juniors. Say a front desk staff person or the parent themselves registered themselves into the clinic instead of their child. And Orlando here is the dad, and you just need to quickly change it to be, I love your names, Ashley. You want to change it to Miami. And so now I can quickly save that, and then it's going to actually save that reservation, and it looks like it should save. There may be some data issue there. But that normally would save and update the parent's name to be that particular kid's name. So it probably saved. It probably just didn't update that refresh that particular little mode. See,
there it is. Miami.
Yeah, so I'm going to have to, yeah. So Miami did update. I just need to change it and make sure that window closes so it doesn't look like that's an issue. So yeah, that's a good one, because a lot of times organizations say, hey, I messed up the registration. How do I quickly change it? And that's how I just use that little pencil there.
Okay, so that's really good. So again, a lot of information, but before we go and answer your questions on events, you know, there's some reporting around events, and I won't steal Tim's thunder, but he's coming up with some great new reports for events that you can run. But I do want to jump quickly to the scheduler. and just kind of take you through again what this would look like. I'll actually have to go to a date that it's actually on. So here okay, here's our junior clinic over here. Again, we know this is an event by the red bar at the top, and you know, a lot of information here. If we need to go in again and register players, pay, do check-in, you can do all that here. If you need to go in and actually edit this one event date, it's the dark blue box here. So you would go in, add an additional court, change your instructors, do your max overrides again. If we come back in, you've got your email button where you can email your registrants. You can collect payment again, and then there's the audit log again. So if you have an issue with this particular event, you can jump over here and just click that audit log button, and it'll tell you everything you want to know about this particular event. And then again, the X or the triangle means you have registrants to check in for this event. The initials mean this is the instructor assigned to this particular event, and dollar signs mean you need to collect fees because somebody wants to pay the light bill. So again, you can see here the note that we put on the event, bring a towel. This would definitely be something that you could, it's on the admin side as well, but you can, I don't remember if we have the setting for it, but let's go over to the member side and take a look at what this event looks like on the member side. So if we jump over to the member side and we actually go to our calendar view first, then let's go to tomorrow and find our junior ball clinic. Oh, we've got a couple, so hopefully I'll pick the right one. So this one's full, and it's actually wait list only. So if from the member standpoint, if I wanted to join this clinic, I could click wait list. I could click on the child I wanted to wait list, and then I could click save, and now my child's on the wait list. If I wanted to go over to the events tab where it's a drop down, then you can see again lots of great information. If the registration's available, oh, I must have already, yeah, I've already done this here. Again, we've already put ourselves on the wait list, but again, if I'm going to go over to another event and register or put myself on the wait list from a member standpoint, that's where they would see that here. If there are details on the events, then you would simply click for details, and you can see here any details that we would have put on this particular event. And this is how the registrant, so remember the box show registrant, that's how it looks here as well. Anything on the member side, Tim? Because I know we just have a couple minutes left and I want to make sure and answer questions.
No, I think that you hit the overall, yeah, just, the members have both the opportunity to show the, look at it from the calendar side or the event side, and then you can pick and choose at the admin side which one of those options you want to choose, or leave both. Most just leave both, but that way the member can decide which way they're more comfortable with viewing those items.
Okay, so let's take the first question. Colleen said, can you email the students their court assignments prior to the event? Yes, you can. I know they can see it on the app, but some do.
Yeah, I hate to, yeah, I think you can see it from the app, but we don't have a function right now that emails the assignments.
You can still assign it to them, and then actually when you print it, you could just save it PDF, and then you could actually, send that out as
absolutely fantastic workaround. But we will, that's a great feature request. We could put that in to right there when you're on that assignment screen. It would be nice if you had a button that said email court assignments, and it would send to everybody in that registrant list that list of court assignments.
Good idea, Colleen.
Very good idea. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, Catherine asked, what's the difference between cancel and delete?
It's pretty simple, and we make it really harder than it should be because we understand this is a confusion point for many. It boils down to if you want to maintain history. If you want to basically blow away every instance, or as if that event occurrence or event date didn't exist, and lose all history, then you want to use delete. Otherwise, if you want to maintain history and just show it as canceled and be able to retrieve that date and who was in there, then you want to use cancel. So we are actually talking internally about just removing the word, or removing delete, and only allowing you to delete anything that has had no action. If it's had any type of action, like a registrant, or if you've had it then the only thing you'll be able to do is cancel. And that way people won't accidentally delete events.
Okay, that's a good question. So our next question is from Dennis. He misses us. Dennis, we're in Charlotte. You can come visit anytime you want to. If someone needs to schedule a makeup date for an event, what's the best way to go about it?
Going back to the reschedule button is for makeups. So if you go back to the admin side and go to an event list and go into one of the events that have drop-ins. So don't go to dates. So under registrants, if you need to move a particular registrant, then you can just click the reschedule here, and that's reschedule makeup. It's vernacular. It's the same for us. So like the very first one, like if I'm moving into junior orange ball, I can open up the junior orange ball right there and then register right here. And that's going to take me out of one and put me in the other and just move the money from one to the other date. And that's the quick and easy way to do it. And we even handle this now on the full event session side. So let's say you were in a session that was 10 dates. You've already come to one date and then you want to reschedule. They wouldn't, basically they're overqualified or underqualified and you need to put them into a new date or whatever time constraints you need to move them over. The system will even handle giving them the credit for the dates that they haven't been to and pushing that towards the new class and actually allowing you to keep your money for any dates they did attend. So if they're in a 10-week class, they've already come to the first one, it's going to take the credit for the other 9 and push that to the rescheduled for the full session. So we just added that about 3 weeks ago and it's gotten a lot of positive feedback. So those are the 2 ways that you can reschedule, and just know that now your full event reschedules are handled from the prorated side as well.
Great questions. So we're going to prep all of our guest rooms in Charlotte. You're all invited down. So get ready.
We love our crew from Princeton.
Any other questions? You know, we're always on chat support. You can always email us at support@courtreserve.com. If you want to watch this again, we'll try and have it up on YouTube tomorrow for any of your other staff or have any other questions, or if you just want to hear our voice over and over again. So we appreciate all of your time today. Thank you so much for joining us for our first webinar event. If you think of any other things in the system that you want to see a webinar on, let us know. We're happy to do it. So hope you guys have a great week. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, everybody.